The ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas has led to a devastating toll on the people of Gaza. The health ministry in Gaza says over 8,000 lives have been lost. Many of them happen to be women and children. The international community, led by U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and President Joe Biden, is urging Israel to agree to a ceasefire. Israel has said no way. In fact, a UN vote last week was not adopted because it asked for a ceasefire and the vote itself was non-binding. Almost all the Arab countries voted in favor of it. The United States exercised its veto power to defeat the resolution. But instead, America has come up with another proposal, a pause in the fighting. Now, this proposed pause in the fighting aims to achieve several crucial objectives. First and foremost, the release of over 200 hostages held by Hamas. There are quite a few foreigners in there as well, including American citizens. Then there is the delivery of the much-needed humanitarian aid that's been cut off to Gaza since the onset of this war. Israel, which used to control the flow of supplies into and out of the Gaza Strip, announced a full-blown siege with no water, medicine, or food going into Gaza from the day after the horrific October 7th attacks. Now, despite the American push, something which was reiterated by Antony Blinken in his third visit to Israel since this conflict began, Israel remains apprehensive about embracing this temporary pause because of concerns over potential drawbacks.
I've returned to the region to engage in intense diplomacy with our partners to try to help ensure that an attack like October 7th never happens again. And in doing so, that we forge a different future, a very different future for Israelis and Palestinians alike. That out of this tragedy emerges a better tomorrow for both peoples and for the region.
The primary objective of the proposed ceasefire is to provide essential humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. The prolonged conflict has resulted in a dire humanitarian crisis with limited access to basic necessities like food, clean water, and medical supplies. A pause in the hostilities would allow for the delivery of these critical resources, and that could potentially save countless lives. The release of over 200 hostages held by Hamas is also a critical security goal. Without the safe release of these hostages, Israel will not be in a position to achieve its objective of total destruction of Hamas. As long as Hamas has the bargaining chip of captured hostages that it will dangle before the international community from time to time, Israel's ground operations will always remain hampered. A safe passage for these hostages will be vital in securing that critical security objective. These individuals are in grave danger, and a ceasefire could create an opportunity for their safe return to their families. Agreeing to a ceasefire would also demonstrate Israel's willingness to engage in diplomatic efforts to find a lasting solution to this conflict. It could open the door for international mediation and negotiations, which may lead to a more sustainable and peaceful resolution in the long run. As of now, the only path to peace is through a state solution, something that Israel under Netanyahu has been loath to implement. But with the gaze of the international community on this conflict and also pressure building from the Arab neighbors of Israel and its closest friend, America, putting pressure, Israel will have to visibly demonstrate a path to peace, and that path to peace is only through a two-state solution. Given Benjamin Netanyahu's unpopularity within Israel, the last political impediment, if you will also be out of the way. It's just a matter of time. One of Israel's major concerns is that a ceasefire would provide Hamas with a chance to regroup and to rearm. The pause in hostilities might allow the militant group to replenish its weapons. It could potentially lead to renewed violence in the future. Israel fears that the proposed humanitarian corridor, which is meant to facilitate the delivery of aid, could also serve as an avenue for Hamas militants to escape from Gaza. And this could undermine Israel's security interests. It could potentially lead to further attacks in the future. Israel may also be wary of committing to a ceasefire without concrete guarantees of Hamas disarming. Without this assurance, Israel may feel vulnerable to future attacks, undermining the potential for a lasting peace. The fundamental objective of the military operation from Israel's point of view is to ensure that Hamas is not in a position ever to launch the kind of attack that it did on October the 7th. The proposal for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas conflict presents both significant humanitarian benefits as well as potential risks. While it offers a chance to deliver critical aid and secure the release of the hostages, Israel's concerns about Hamas regrouping and the escape of militants highlights the complex nature of this situation. Even America understands its concerns from its closest ally. But there is also pressure, as was evidenced during Blinken's short trip to Tel Aviv, that there is pressure even on the world's most powerful nation. There's pressure from the international community and also domestically in an election year when any president would be wary of dissenting public opinion. America needs to get Israel to play by the rules of war. Striking a balance between humanitarian relief and security considerations on the other will be crucial in determining the best course of action. Ultimately, a comprehensive and inclusive diplomatic approach which addresses the concerns of all parties may hold the key to a sustainable and lasting resolution to this devastating conflict.